Welcome back to Fitness Manifesto. I am one of your hosts, Kim, and joining me is
Justin. Welcome to this new show that we've started, which focuses on life, awesomeness, friendship, and fitness as a whole.
Oh, you had to get it on recording, huh?
Well, I missed that part on recording that, but I'm like, this is too good because this is stuff that people want to know.
Shopping's the worst thing ever invented. First off, it's expensive for one. And if I have to, I get in and then I get the hell out. Period. Ugh.
Now, hang on.
It's
Kim,
just...
Before, because I want to hear more about this, but are we both outside today? It's so nice.
Yes, I am outside. But then I was outside last week too.
I know you were. But last week it was miserably cold and today it's...
No, it wasn't.
70 something. Well, it was. You just wouldn't admit it. But yes.
It says it's 75. And no, it really wasn't bad. But I also have to tell you, you know the gray sweater that has the black stripe down the top of it?
Yes.
I know you know exactly what sweater I'm talking about. You are not allowed to wear that until next winter again.
Well, hang on. So I don't know when this is going to air, but probably beginning of March. 100% agree with you, because if it is cold in March, we're moving. That's all I'm going to say.
No. I'm just saying you wear it too much. There is too many recordings where you were wearing that sweater, and we talk about me having to go shopping and not want to. You need to go buy a new sweater.
Oh, fair enough. Now, I got to think here, probably 10-ish kind of sweaters thing. So
I'm not for sure you do.
I'm thinking, I know I do, but apparently I've got a favorite that's my go-to that I keep relying on as, that crutch.
I think you own one, and we have got to see that one sweater for like weeks.
Well, okay. So since we're talking about clothing here, I think it's really appropriate to talk about this, because anyone out there that has tips on this, please let me know. So my daughter, this is the February, like every weekend she does a competition of some kind, right? Kelly, I don't know the full story, but somehow she forgot to wash Bailey's uniform. Okay. So she went 2 weeks. She took it off because last week it was weird. I think it was a Saturday only event kind of thing. And she took it off when she got home, and Kelly was like, like vomited. She's like, this smells so bad. We can't get the smell out.
Okay. I can help you with this.
Okay.
First off, you don't wash it with all your other laundry, right?
No, Kelly, first of all, she's so afraid of it falling off that it's 100% hand washed right now.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm telling her to wash in the machine, but yes, it's hand washable right now, she says.
Okay, so then what detergent is she using?
So I think she's using the Persil stuff that we have, and I told her to add some Oxy stuff to it, but go ahead.
Absolutely, yes, for one, but she's not drying it, is she?
She's line drying it, but not like in a dryer.
Okay, tell her to soak it in vinegar before she actually washes it.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Put it in a sink and soak it in vinegar and water, and just let it sit there and soak. You could let it soak all night long, and then take it straight from there and run it through the washer.
High five, first of all. Secondly, so I'm going to tell you a really crude, horrible joke that I made when I was a kid that I thought was hilarious. Because it's in reference to what you just said here. What sound does a vinegar and water truck make when it collides?
I got nothing.
Douche.
Okay. That's not really crude, but I guess depending on if you've got your mind in the gutter or not. So that's not bad.
No, I didn't think so, but it just made me think of it because the vinegar, that is a great idea. And honestly, that's brilliant. I should use that more. That's great.
Well, and there's times that I will do like a pre-wash in our washer, and I'll run vinegar in there as a pre-wash. Well, depending on what clothes it is. And then wash it on a regular cycle.
See, so I use vinegar to clean the system itself, like to clean out the washer machine just in general. And it works amazing. So is that Pix?
That's my dog. She heard somebody bark. So she's my wannabe Rottweiler. I got to find her. Pixie, come here.
Now, I'm going to give 2 shout outs before we get started here today. And the first is, again, to Ted. I love this backdrop. And secondly, to...
Oh, Buzz, I have 2 more that we could use as backdrops. I sent them to you.
Hang on. We'll look offline on this after this episode. And I would love to, we'll load those and put them on here. Secondly, Zoom, I want to say thank you because before there'd be a lag, like you'd move and you could it is instantaneous now. So Zoom and Ted, you guys rocking it this year so far. So great job.
Yes, I agree. No, and also my mother-in-law commented on the backdrop, and we were talking to her last night, and she commented to the backdrop and says like, "Oh yeah, I made that." And he's like, "I make a lot of their content actually. I take their pictures."
And we are forever grateful, and we want to continue to use him. So absolutely. Now,
Yeah. We need to do new pictures.
agreed. And I'm going to tell you that. So I think our last episode, I'm not sure which all these are going to air, but I'm going to solve and answer a question that we ended on last time that I didn't give Ted a review. And not only did I give him a review that day, okay, there's screenshots of it. And he was so stubborn, he wouldn't resend me the link. So I had to go to Google.
He's ornery sometimes.
He was, but it was so funny because I ran into him at the event this weekend, and he was so funny. It was like totally like, hey, back to normal, whatever. Like, hey, okay, we're good again. So
no, I gotta tell you, he will never. He's not that person. He doesn't act that way ever. He won't change the way he talks or the way he acts. Like most people are like, I don't want to talk to you, and act real fake. Ted is not that person. He's not.
So you're saying that's fake. I got you.
No, but even if something were to happen, he's over it like that. He'll move on and be like, what are you upset about? We'll ask our daughter or something, and he's like, what are you so mad about? And she's like, well, do you remember? And he's like, oh my gosh, we've moved on.
Well, okay. Since we're talking, well, first of all, congratulations, Ted. That's bad.
Awesome sauce.
Yesterday, Bailey woke up. It was Valentine's Day. So for those that don't know, we're recording a day after Valentine's Day. She said she had a little bit of a headache. And so yesterday, I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but like there were class parties at elementary yesterday. So Kelly went to Bailey's was first and Jackson's was second. So it was like 11, something like that in the morning, 11. Anyways, she goes there and Bailey's like, Mom, I don't feel good. And her teacher's like, yeah, you need to go to the nurse. So she went to the nurse. She had 102 fever, got sent home immediately. And Kelly couldn't stop laughing. She's like, so we had to wait till all the parents and all the kids were all there to infect them all at once. Then we get home and I'm coaching basketball yesterday. And I come home and Kelly's on the verge of tears. She's so upset. Bailey has started vomiting, but rather than go to the bathroom, she wanted to tell Kelly she was vomiting. So she left this trail of vomit all along our landing and all down the stairs. And
oh my gosh.
Hello, Pixie. Good to see you. So poor Kelly.
I would have had to call in a cleaning service.
We're going to, by the way, but she just sitting on the stairs sobbing. I'm like, Kelly, what happened? She's like, this is the worst Valentine's Day ever.
Oh, I hope you did something extremely nice for her.
I started the day really strong. Like I went out and got her a Starbucks and I got her a donut to start the day, which I thought was a nice thing to do. And then all our plans went out the window after that because of Bailey.
Children ruin everything, right?
I think that has to be one of our shirts for sure. It definitely has to be.
I have to tell you, I had a gut feeling that something was going to happen and it was all going to change. I did, for some reason, there was something and I'm like, something, because, no offense, Justin, I feel like your children are sick a lot. Maybe you need to give them your voodoo drink to help them not get sick. I don't know. But anytime you send me an updated invitation, all you have to say is sick kid. I got it. That's it. We need a code word that we have to switch to remote.
How about smoothie?
Ooh.
No, okay. All right. Well, I'll figure something out. I was going to say tea time, but you already have that designated as something else. So
yes. And we don't talk tea time because most people say tea time is like trash talking.
But we're both drinking tea.
You are. And it's so crazy because you hold it up and your cup blends in with the background entirely. So it looks like you're just holding your hand in the air.
That's how good the cameras are getting these days. Seriously, because before you could hold it and move it around. It wouldn't. Yeah.
I will give a shout out to Ember. This is it keeps my coffee hot. I don't have to warm it up. It comes with an app. It is amazing. I can even tell you it is sitting at 157 degrees right now.
That is a great temperature for tea, and you've inspired me. So first of all, for those that don't know,
it's amazing.
This is an early birthday gift. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. So the next time we record, Kim will be a year older.
I will indeed. Bum, bum, bum.
And this is something weird for the audience to just think about, that her, Ted, and TJ, they were all conceived around the same time. That means whatever's in the streams or waterways up north, it inspires people around this time of,
I was born in Texas.
Again, still Midwest. So there's something in this water. I mean, we have to admit, everyone that I know that's grown up here, all their kids, they're like a foot taller than all my kids. Like there's something in the water here. Yes.
Justin, everybody's about a foot taller than me, including TJ. Even Abba's like, I'm going to be taller than you one day. And I'm like, and? I was raised, my mom used to say, dynamite comes in small packages. And I'll tell you what, it's true. Because even though I'm short, when I would get into the weight room with people my age, I could outlift a lot of them.
So on a side note here, speaking of this, when I worked at Raytheon, I was working on a program out there, and we go to this company, and it's in West Virginia, if I remember right. Beautiful campus, great place. And we're walking in, and it's basically, they make a lot of the rocket engines there. And we're in there looking at this, and there's this whole area cornered off. And they're like, what happened here? We're like, no. What happened there? Some poor guy made a spark. They didn't tell us how it happened or whatever like that, and ignited the fuel, and he got basically plastered to the ceiling. And I'm like, holy crap. So
he had a bad day.
A horrible day. And you look everywhere. There's like no spark zone. It's in a contained area. So I'm I don't know what happened. He obviously broke every protocol possible. I mean, he had to go out of his way to do this. They thought it might be suicide, whatever. But I don't know. That seemed like a very rough way to go.
I'm assuming he died.
If you stand behind a rocket engine, you are going to, it will obliterate you like that. He became, I think that the engineer that gave us the tour, I couldn't stop laughing because they're so dry. He didn't mean to make it funny. He was almost British. He's like, he was evaporated in seconds. He was a speck of dust. I think the exact quote was, he was a speck of dust before he could say, ugh. So yes.
Okay. Well, he made a wrong choice.
He made a wrong choice. And the best part was that my team was already giddy because they were excited. It was the first time they were making this new motor. And they're all like, I hope you wanted to be cremated.
Justin, that is terrible that we're laughing about this. Poor guy and his family.
Well, we sent a shout out and we hope everything went well. But one of the things I learned yesterday, and I heard again, it's been a pattern, right, recently for me. And I heard this from a comedian yesterday. I thought it was so wise, is you've got to be able to laugh at everything. If you can't laugh at it, it has power over you. And I was like, That is true.
It owns you.
Yeah.
That is so true. It really does. Well, I do have to say, you were smiling when you crossed the finish line this last weekend.
Well,
I want to know what was going through your mind. Was it, I completed this, or, oh my gosh, thank God I'm done. It is done and over with. I mean, were you more positive when you crossed with that smile, or were you like, it's off your shoulders, this is done, you've crossed it off? I got to know, what are your thoughts?
To be honest with you, it's kind of a blur to be like, so the part that made me, I think if I had to guess, my feeling was elation to be done with it, right? Because it was 30 some degrees, it was windy, it was cold. And so to be done with it felt great, but it also was that sense of, I did it in a fairly decent pace. I did it, I think in 2 hours, 25 minutes, something like that. It was my exact time, which I was aiming for 2:15. So 10 minutes over with all those conditions. I thought was pretty good. And the guy at the end that was like catching up to me, I just sprinted to the finish line as fast as I could. Ending that strong made me feel like a badass.
Awesome sauce.
Going 13.1 miles and probably that last 0.1 mile, just sprinting as hard as I could. That changed my everything. It made me just felt really strong.
Okay. With you having that much energy at the end, does that tell you that you had more to give throughout the race?
I thought about that. It's a great question. And I don't know. I think.
I know it's a good question. That's why I asked it.
Yeah. How dare I even say that? Because everything that you pontificate that comes out is not only wise, it's witty, and it's resoundingly accurate.
Yep, I agree.
As you should. I would say I paced it well. And the end, if I had pushed that hard for probably the last mile or so, I probably would have hurt my muscles, to be honest with you. They were starting to get fatigued. So I think just doing that last little sprint for maybe a tenth of a mile, maybe a little less, was probably that was the right thing to do.
Okay. Looking back on the race, because you were like ready to go. We had talked about it last week. You were excited. You were itching. What in your head do you think you could have done better?
I haven't said this yet, but thank you to you and Ted and Kelly and everyone for coming out. So thank you for that.
You don't have to thank us. We show up for each other, right?
I know, but it's always nice. So I'm going to actually tell you a story at the beginning, and then I'll get to that question. Does that sound fair?
You can tell me however you want to tell me.
I got there.
I don't care.
I got there about 45 minutes early, which is typical for a race because I want to make sure that I find good parking because you never know when you go to these things how it's going to be set up, where everything is. So it's just nice to get situated, not rush out to the corral. So anyways, I was sitting there and the car next to me was filled with pacers. And for those that don't know what pacers are, they hold up the sign and they say 7 minutes, 50 seconds. They hold 8 minutes, whatever, per mile basically. And then on the other side, it shows you when you'll finish if you're at that pace. So they're all sitting in this car together. There's like 4 of them. And this one poor guy keeps getting in and out. And I'm listening to music and I keep seeing him. And the bathrooms were maybe 50 feet away. And he keeps running over and then coming back. And you can see he's discouraged. So the last time I'm getting out of the car, it's like 10 minutes before the race starts, maybe 15, something like that. And they're calling all the runners over. You hear him and he's just like, God damn it, I got to poop so bad. Why can't I poop? And everyone in the car is dying laughing. I don't know. And he's a pacer, so you can't stop. So the poor guy had to go whatever pace he was at. Whatever happened to you that night before, I'm sorry. And I hope that everything went okay. But
we talked about that last week too, how people do that. And you said that you see that a lot, people trying to go and then getting frustrated because they can't. So I like that story.
Well, so here, for those that want to know kind of a secret, this is what I do to help everything out. So the night before or the day before, I have this really great vegetable soup that I have. So if the race is on Saturday, I'll do this Thursday and I'll make a soup and I'll eat that the whole day. And the next day, because it's so high in fiber and everything else, it kind of cleans the system out. So when you go the next day, you don't have to go no matter what. It's fantastic. And it's worked for me every race. So FYI, maybe too much.
What all is in your soup?
It's got zucchini. Let's see here. It's got kidney beans, tomatoes, onion, yellow sweet onion. It's got zucchini. It's got cucumber and sweet potato in a vegetable broth.
Interesting. When you say vegetable broth, like the vegetable broth that you purchase?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I put some spices and stuff and it's awesome. I love it.
How often do you eat this soup?
Once or twice a week in the winter. In the summer, don't eat it at all.
Because it's too hot?
Yeah.
Or you don't need a good cleansing?
Hey, my theory is I think more people need it, especially in this city. Like they're so high strung that I think that my old saying used to be that if people had more sex, more fiber, and more Costco in their lives, there'd never be a war.
More Costco. I am trying to avoid Costco. I need to go to Costco because everything is so expensive.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks, but
it does suck. Okay, keep going.
So we go to line up and we're sitting there and then there's some dude coughing and I'm not talking like cough. I'm talking like that dude's got TB kind of cough. And
he was like coughing up a lung.
Yeah. And he's like, doing that cough and spit thing.
See, but maybe he was having really bad allergies or having asthma. And with that, if they're having asthma and they're coughing, it could be phlegm in their lungs that he's trying to get out before he starts running. This could have been other factors, nothing like going towards the negative, man.
I think it's ever since COVID hit. Anytime I hear a cough, I'm like, nope, you stand away. So yes, you're right. I did not even consider that. And that's why you make such a good yin and yang. We make such a good yin and yang. So we get in line, we start running. And I thought the first pace was great. Like I came out of the gate really strong. And up until I saw you guys at like milepost 6 or 7, I was doing great. After that, this wind tunnel just like kicked my ass.
Awesome sauce.
I didn't prepare for that. So your question was, what would I have done differently or whatever? And I think that the biggest thing mentally was I was doing so good with the weather up until that point in time. Like I was feeling it. I had no issues. And then when I hit this 4-mile stretch, it was just this ongoing, it felt like it would never end. I started getting in my head a little too much. And so I think getting out of my head more would be honestly one of the things I would do the most is have more positive talk.
That was my next question. So do you contribute, you were too much in your head saying, oh, this wind is terrible, or is that what you contributed to?
Yeah, I think I started that way. And then as I was going, I was trying to get out of it. I was like, okay, trying to find like a mile, something to look at. Like, okay, there's a stoplight, there's a sign or whatever like that. And then I got discouraged again because it started at like milepost, I think it was like 8 or 9. It was somewhere in between there. So I saw milepost 10 and I'm like, F me. I'm only at 10. Like I've got 3 more miles to go of this. That got me discouraged again. But I think that the point past that, like laughing at it, because I started laughing at it at the time. And honestly, one of the things that really got me over this was there were these 3 women ahead of me that were what I call the woo girls. So they would like, what?
That's my name.
That's why I wish you were a runner. You fit right in. And they would do these things like they'd walk for half a mile and then they'd jog for a mile. Like they keep going back and forth like this. So by the time we were pretty even overall, because then they'd sprint and then they'd slow down and sprint and slow down. So anyways, you could hear them coming because they'd just be giggling and laughing. And so that like motivate me. I'm like, holy crap, if they can do that, okay, I can do this. And so I think getting out of my head and saying, all the things I'd planned for weren't there, like a mile marker, something like that you can look at in the distance and say, I can get to that point. It was just a straight shot. There was really nothing to look at and say, I need to get to there. I need to get to there. So all the training I had done mentally kind of went out the window and I had to rethink about things. And so I started laughing. I started thinking about you guys at the end of the finish line. I started thinking about the game I had to coach afterwards. So I got my head out of that a little bit and it helped. I think those are the things that helped get me through it. And honestly, knowing that I'd made it that far, okay, I can do this. I got a 5K basically.
So why did you let something so little affect your game like that? I mean, why did you let it bring you down? Because you're not a negative person in the first place. I mean, you're extremely positive most times. So why did you let something so little or something so minimal get stuck in your head instead of the, I got this? Because you have that. You showed up for yourself. You were prepared, even though at that time you're like, nope, I didn't contribute. I was not ready for the wind. I was not ready for this. I'm not saying it's just you, but it just shows you how easy it is to let something so little creep in to be so negative and how it affects 100%. Why did you let something so little infiltrate your head and throw you off your game?
So I think that's exactly what you said a second ago, though. I think it was the fact that I was so proud of all the different trainings I've done for this that I wasn't prepared for that one thing. And so I was like, oh, crap. Like I have to toss everything out that I was thinking about and kind of recalibrate. And so I think part of it was the fact that it was having to adjust. And usually I'm really good at that. But I think at that stage of the game, it just caught me so out of left field that I wasn't expecting a win time. Like it was just, and I should have, right? Especially when if anything outdoors, expect the unexpected. And also that late in the race where I was like, okay, this is the home stretch. I can do this. And I think all those kind of culminated for probably about a half mile or so. And then I was able to kind of flush it and get it going again. But I think that it's probably all those things combined. It wasn't one thing. It was probably all those things. And the good news
build up.
Yeah, I didn't reside there, though. I think the good news is that it stayed and went. Now, I'd be concerned if the whole time, all the way back, I'm like, F me, this sucks. Then there's a deeper issue there. But I was able to get past it. And you saw me, like I said, I ended with a smile. I was super excited. I think the sense of accomplishment and also realizing that the whole race had 749 people in it, something like that, I think. And the whole population of Katie's like 600,000. So the amount of people that ran that race and Houston as a whole, I mean, more than 99% of the population didn't do this. Being part of that super end of that spectrum already felt really good. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. So then next time, how would you have prepared yourself differently? What would you have done? Would you done something different in your training? Would you have changed your mindset? What would you change so that when you get to that point in your next race, you're not like, I'm over this?
So I think there's a couple things. One, at the beginning, I knew it was going to be cold, but I guess I wasn't prepared for it as much. So like the gloves that I had, I think you remember at one point I had to toss them to Kelly because they didn't have most gloves clasped together. Well, this one was missing a clasp. So I basically had two separate gloves and I just shoved them in my pocket. And so then it made my leg even wetter because those were wet and from all the sweat. So that made my leg extra cold. Being prepared for all those things in terms of, I got to make sure my gear is 100% before I get in the car. And I packed it the night before and I just grabbed a pair of gloves. I didn't think about the exact pair I wanted to use. Going through that checklist of things I think would really help. The other thing is enjoying that moment more, because a lot of the time, especially when I'm running, I'm like, I've got to get to there. I've got to get to there. But I'm not appreciating the fact that not only am I lucky to be able to run, but I'm also doing it. Like I'm not just saying I'm going to do it. I went out there and I'm doing it. And so next time to be more aware of the fact that things are going to change, right? No matter what I plan for, especially outside, something's going to change.
Enjoy the experience along the way.
Yeah, enjoy the experience. And I mean, the only thing I would do in terms of training was I didn't drink enough, which is never my issue, which is very weird. Like I told you yesterday, just briefly, I was so excited because we get to the end of the race. I'm like, man, I feel like I hydrated everything like that. And then I tossed, because we were running the game, I tossed my water belt to Jackson. He's like, Dad, you didn't even drink one of these. I'm like, oh my God. I think being more aware and having that plan in my head, because it was basically every mile I was taking a couple shots. So basically 2 to 3 ounces of liquid every time. And apparently I must not have been doing that because each one only holds 10. So there's no way I could have done it.
So was there electrolytes in your water? What was in your water? Or was it just water?
When I run, I rely on them to provide the water because that's like nice. Like they'll pass out the water every 2 miles, 3 miles, something like that. So I'll grab water from them, but mine is usually filled with electrolytes. So I've got one that's filled with like BCAAs, basic chain amino acids, and electrolytes, and then one. So I start off that way because they're longer to digest. So like by the time I'm further in the race, they're replenishing what I'm losing. And then the other one are like quick carbohydrates, like the salts and a tiny bit of like sugar.
So what you're saying is you need to practice what you preach?
Well, the sad part is I was prepared. It was just so weird. I can't believe yes, not only do I need to practice it, but I need to be more aware too, because I was prepared for this and I still don't know why I didn't do it. Like I'm looking back and I'm like, I did drink there. So anyways, it was just a weird experience.
So then what did you do with your body whenever you finished the race? I mean, I already know, but please enlighten us and tell our audience what you did when you were done. How did you fuel your body? What came from that?
So this is a lesson in what not to do. And that's why Kim is smiling so hard. So
yep.
My schedule was really tight. So I finished at like 9:45 in the morning, I think, something like that. And I had a game to be at 11:15 for pictures. And anyway, so my time frame was really tight because the race was a little bit far. I basically picked up Jackson. I took a few sips of stuff in the car, dropped him off at a friend's house, came home, took a shower, went to the game, did all that. And by the time everything was done, I didn't really eat any solid food until close to 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just going to say that was stupid. Like that was beyond dumb. And it's so hard on your body to go that speed. And, I was up at 4:50 in the morning. I had a very small breakfast. I didn't eat a lot all day. I've stressed my body out a ton. All these things have culminated in everything that I preach here. I did not practice at the end.
No, you did not. So then did you finish your water in the car? Or throughout the day, did you finish those 2 water bottles?
Yeah. So actually, I didn't finish the ones that I brought to the race. I had another one in the car that had chia. You're probably going to laugh at this, but it had chia seeds in it, which are great for hydration, by the way. So they had those. I didn't finish that as fast as I should. So that was in a 20-ounce bottle. I was going to try to finish that all the way home. I finished that on the way to home and then on to the basketball. So I was down a little bit in terms of where I should be. I didn't drink during that hour and a half, which is, I know, dumb. And then afterwards, between all the other stuff, before I could finally get to eating, I drank. So my pee was, was I in kidney failure? Not even close. But was it as clear as I'd like it to be? No.
Oh, okay. And I'm just going to tell our audience, don't do what Justin did.
No.
Your body, especially after running like that, needs fuel. And it has to be done with a certain amount of time whenever you are done doing your workout. Whenever you are done, you have got to hydrate. What is it, Justin? Up to you've got 45 minutes or an hour after you are done working out that you need to replenish your body.
Well,
you've got to, yes, your body is most important because if you don't give it its nutrients or the hydration, you're not going to be running for very long. Justin, all I have to say is that was very dumb on your behalf.
Kim, I love your accountability and thank you. So my understanding, especially when it comes to running, is you need electrolytes throughout. So there's no excuse to never get electrolytes. That can actually cause severe muscle cramp. You can go into defibrillate, atrophy. It's bad. So electrolytes.
Okay. And I can say this, you say during running, and what's terrible is you had them literally on your person and didn't even drink them. Tisk, man.
I'm still blown away, but I know I'm sure the audience is tired of hearing this, but I don't know why I didn't. There's no, anyways, I preach this and I practice it all the time. You and I are pee buddies, so we drink a lot. But when it comes to this, at the end of it, especially with running, where you've exacerbated your body and you've really depleted it from the standpoint of you're at a 4 to 5 range in heart rate, in terms of exertion.
Right.
Not only do you need the salts, you really need a lot of protein at the end of this to help refuel And I mean, honestly, that's why most people after marathons get deathly ill. No one tells you this stuff, but like, I don't know what the true statistics are, but I mean, especially after a marathon, if you don't refuel your body, everyone gets sick. And they always say, oh, well, it's just part of it. You don't have to get sick. You're born to run. Like,
No.
it's how you treat your body. And so I've been very good since then, but continue. Sorry.
So I'm curious. I know you wear a Whoop. Did you look at how many steps you took by the end of that day?
By the end of the day, I want to tell you a new feature that came out that I wish it was there during the race. They have a new stress tester in there. But anyways, by the end of that day, I had taken almost 30,000, if I remember right. I can go back and look, but it was right around 30, like 29 or 30,000.
So then, okay, when your race was done, could you tell a difference in your body as far as how exhausted you were because you didn't fuel your body, because you didn't rehydrate your body or anything good? Were you dead to the world, especially when you were like, I have got to eat something, which I would have brought something to the finish line had I have known that you hadn't done any of these yet, ding dong. But could you tell a difference whenever you finally sat down to eat, that you were drained? One, yes, from running, but two, from not eating and not hydrating and fueling your body. And how long did it take for you to finally come out of it after giving your body the love that it needed?
I would say it kind of went in stages. After the race, I was really lucid in terms of like clarity. Like I felt I was there, especially because I had to show up to coach, right? That was one of those things. I knew I had to show up for those kids. I wouldn't sacrifice that. I would say what really I noticed it big time was like I started getting sore, which is usually a sign. Like when you get sore immediately, it's not just because you have fatigue. It's usually because you're dehydrated, because your body has a lot of lactic acid. You're not flushing it out. So I noticed that and I was like, oh crap. But by the time 2:30, 3 o'clock at the end of it, I told my kids, I had Jackson and Seth with me in the car. I was like, don't talk to me right now. Like, Dad, I can't answer any questions. I need to go eat. And of course, the minute you say that, they have a million questions, right? So that was the dumb thing of me to say as a dad. But I got there, and I know most people are probably going to laugh at this because most people would be like, I got a cheeseburger, I got a steak, I got fry, I got something. I got a salad. That probably honestly helped me a ton because it's it's hard to digest, which isn't great, but it has a lot of stuff in there. It's very, water soaked food. So it's helping to replenish things on a deeper level. So I think that actually helped a lot. I also did in between there at the game, one of the kids, the parents, Kelly had posted that I ran a half marathon. She's like, you just ran and now you're coaching? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you need anything? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of hungry. So she gave me a couple of the other kids bananas. I had those. So I wasn't totally out of it. But again, a banana is only so much. Like you need a lot of energy. So it helped. But if I had
And I just have to say, he stole another little kid's banana. There were a couple children that didn't get the banana after.
Well, that was the best part. They kept looking, they opened up the bags and, we're in this little huddle together and they're like, I didn't get a banana. And I'm like, I don't know why. Why didn't you get a banana? And of course, Jackson wanted to rat me out. He's like, Dad, didn't I see you? I'm like, shut. We're out of here. Okay, got to go, guys. Got to go. So I think all those things combined are great lessons learned. The other thing I would do the night before that I didn't do that I usually do is I'll have like a huge thing of rice with soy sauce on it because it has lots of salt in it and it's very simple to digest. So it's a good thing to help give you carbs and it's very simple. I didn't do that this time. I had a much smaller portion of it. And so I think that also led to some of the after effects.
How long did it take you to, start feeling normal again?
I think fully back to myself was yesterday. So 3 days. Sunday, it was weird. I was on this like high. I didn't sleep well that night. It was most people think like after you do these races, like, you're going to go back and crash. I had so many endorphins going off, even at I went to bed at 10 or something like that. I tried to go to bed earlier. Anyways, I was flying.
You went to bed at 10?
I couldn't sleep. Like it was just like my body was like it was weird. It was like totally on.
Justin's bedtime is like 9:30 usually.
9:45 on a bad day. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do not stay up late. And
no.
I got up the next day fairly early and I did walk a little bit, not far, just a little bit. I did one mile loop around our lake right by our house just to stretch the legs. And I started noticing I was starting to tense up, that sort of stuff. So I spent pretty much all Sunday resting. Monday, I felt good, but I wasn't back to it 100%. And yesterday I felt like a human again. Like I felt like it wasn't in stress mode anymore.
Were you sore?
I'm still sore.
Are you still sore?
But not bad. I will tell you, it was probably, so the Super Bowl was Sunday. I was coming down to watch the game with everybody, and oh my God, I could jump up the stairs. I don't know, whatever muscle group that is that I was using going up, no issue. Walking down, I mean, I had to hold the railings. I knew it. Like, I thought my feet were going to give out from underneath me. It was the weirdest. Like, my quads were like, nope, we're not doing this today. Yesterday, I got a sports massage at 2:30 in the afternoon. And the lady, it was so funny because I was feeling it in my hips, and she's like, "Oh, you're not tight in your hips at all, but your quads are really tight." It was a good wake up moment. I'll tell you that much. Did not feel good, but it was important. And now today, I'm very little sore. What I'm feeling though is I don't have the desire to run. Like, the movement there isn't in sync. Like, I know I'm still off there, so it's still fatigued. But overall, I'd say I'm probably 90%.
You have a marathon next, correct? Because you just ran a half marathon. The next one is a full marathon.
That is correct.
That's in March?
March 4th. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So like you got in a couple weeks.
2 weeks. Yes.
When are you getting back into training?
Tomorrow. So tomorrow.
How are you going to begin? What are you doing first?
This whole time I've been doing lots of stretching and stuff just to make sure the elasticity is still there, which is huge. Again, so I did follow my advice there. So we're good there. As far as the actual training stuff, I'm going to actually start doing more longer, but slower. So I'm going to do my goal is to keep my heart rate between zones 2 and 3 maximum. On Sunday, my goal is to get up to, I want to do 14 miles on Sunday to get out there and do it. And then on the rest of the following week, very low consistency, basically. So like 4 miles a day kind of stuff, just getting the muscles working and back in sync. And then on the next Sunday, so the Sunday before my Saturday race, I'm going to try to go 20. And then during the whole week, I'm just going to go very light, 5-6 miles. On the night, Friday, I won't do anything. I'll go on a walk. I won't do anything to expend the energy. And then on Saturday, I'll run.
Are you excited for this marathon?
Yeah, I'm excited, but I guess the only fallacy to training like this is that I hadn't run a race like this in 5 years. So it's a weird feeling. Your body, you start feeling things again, like understanding, okay, this is how much 5 miles is. This is how much 10 miles, like you feel what it should feel like. I know what 13 is. And now I'm like, I have to double that, So can I do it? I know I can. Like, that's the good news about doing it. But I'm also now realizing, okay, this was a slog, especially when it was cold. The good news is in March, it will not be that cold. But now I'm going to be dealing with a whole different set of circumstances in terms of the humidity will be up, especially in March. It's going to be warmer, so I'm going to have to hydrate differently. So it's a different set of variables that I'm nervous about, and especially after not being as intelligent as I was this time. I got to make sure I don't overdo it this time, so there's this weird balance. I don't know if that makes sense.
To say it nicely, how you weren't intelligent. What date is it? I got to look and see what the weather is predicted to be.
March 4th.
Well, let us look.
Drum roll, please.
March 4th, high of 74, low of 48. So you're more, even the night before, it's low of 48 that Friday night. So it may be chilly to start off with, but it'll warm up.
Yeah, I mean, I can wear shorts.
So, yes. Okay. What are you going to do to stay out of your head this time? Easier said than done, right?
It's way easier said than done. And this was actually one thing that I didn't mention. I don't even think you and I talked about this offline, was this was the first time I've ever done a race like this without headphones. I mean, literally in all my racing career, high school, everything, this is the first time I did it with, there was no headphones, and it was a very cathartic, almost soothing experience doing it. Because usually I'd be like, okay, this song is here. That means that's how far I should be, And this time I didn't know, I just ran to run, and it was very peaceful and serene. So I think this time I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm not going to listen to music. I'm going to go run it. I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm going to make sure to smile a lot more. And I'm also going to stay hydrated. And I'm also going to, one of the things I was proud of myself this last time was starting at a decent pace, not starting slow, not starting fast, but starting at a decent pace so that I can continue that and end stronger as opposed to feeling exasperated by the end. So I think those are the things I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to pay much more attention to when I hit halfway, assessing how I really feel and like, okay, where is my body here? What can I push? What can't I? And just staying focused on the goal, because that's enjoying the journey. Because like we had talked about a little while ago, I'm so focused a lot of the time on the end that I look back and I miss the accomplishment of just doing it.
You sure did. Instead of smiling through it, you got frustrated and then you got down on yourself, especially with the wins. And by the time you hit the finish line, do you remember what you said to me?
No, what did I say?
You told me how hard it was. You said, that's way harder than what I had expected. You were not really smiling. I mean, you had finished it. You should have been smiling.
I think the reality set in at that stage of the game. I have to do so much more now. Like after this next race, I've got nothing. Like there's nothing I have to do, which is nice. Like I can go actually take care of my body. I think it was really stupid of me to show up to coach. I know it's great to say that I did that, but it's also part of an ego thing probably to say, look, I did all these things.
No, I disagree with that because you showed up for those kids. You know, you had a commitment that you had prior and you are their coach and you wanted to be there for them so they could succeed and they could feel accomplished in what they were doing. But I think what would have helped you is had you have focused more on your body. I think had you have eaten for one, had you have rehydrated for two, I think if you had had those things at the finish line and, you know, go into the game, I think your mindset would have been completely different. I really do.
No, I think you're right. And I think this time I'm going to, so first of all, thanks for the feedback. I'm also going to really focus on the energy gels and stuff like that, because the rule of thumb is, for those that don't know, anything over 45 minutes, whether it's any kind of like hard elliptical, rowing, whatever it is, anything where you're, you know, really pushing yourself over 45 minutes, you've got to eat and drink after that. Like your body just requires it. So I'm going to really focus and go back to stuff I used to use and really, I'm going to crush this one this time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially for showing up those kids, if you don't show up for yourself first, you can't show up for them. So, and I'm sure that they felt that whenever you did show up to coach them. For one, kudos for, you know, you knew it was priority. You already made a commitment to it. But I'm sure that they could feel that you weren't fully in it because you didn't fully show up for yourself and feed your body and rehydrate yourself and take care of yourself first before you could take care of them.
I think you're right. It was funny. They sent a couple pictures and maybe we can post them of me. You move up the court to coach, right? You stay in your half, but you coach and that kind of thing. I was not moving as fast as I normally was. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and of course, because you didn't take care of yourself first.
Exactly right. So good lessons learned. And it's much better, honestly, to learn these now than in a full. In a full, this can actually, I mean, this can really hurt you. Like this, it's actually detrimental in some ways. And you had joked earlier, I mean, it could end your running career if you're not prepared. Making these mistakes here is good. And please, for everyone listening out there, anyone watching, learn from these lessons, please. These are awesome lessons to learn. From me, you don't need to make them because I made them. Kim got to experience it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, part of it, being a very headstrong, pushed me through a lot of this stuff too. Not allowing myself to not finish is important too. I know we didn't talk about that, but there were moments in time that I wanted to quit. There were moments that, especially when I'm, 3 miles into this wind tunnel, I'm just like, holy crap, when does this end? There were many times that I kept saying like, F me. And I'm like, this is it. And I'm like, no, I am not a loser. Like I am a winner. Like I always complete things. I finish it, And I changed that story in my head. And of course I finished and it felt great, but it's not like I was on this course. I started off strong. I ended strong. It was a winning time for me. There was a lot of ups and downs, right? It was like, it wasn't a roller coaster, but it was an undulation of.
Which is normal.
That's exactly right.
I think that's normal.
And I think that's one of those things that's helpful. I wish more people had told me this when I was starting to do it, because all my buddies that did it when I was doing it, like one of my best buddies in the world, Jeff, has done this for probably 20 years. Like he just did 100-mile off-road bike race in Moab, Utah. He's always just like, oh, that was easy. I'm like, F you. Like that is not easy. Like you go through all these things, right? You don't have to be a true Ironman in your head. You're going to go through emotional stuff. And so the more you're prepared for that, because I love that you kept asking me mental questions, because I think it's important for people to understand it is 100% a mental game. And I know you hear it and you're like, well, how's running a mental game? Do it and you'll find out.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Well, because you see that mile marker and you're like, my gosh, I still have this much to go. Can I push myself there or should I just be done? I mean, I would have made it to mile 1 and been like, yep, this is a great stopping point for me.
I feel good. I did it, guys. I did it. I showed up. Yeah. And there are people that do that. It is funny because there was a woman that was running and I saw her. I remember she's wearing pink shorts and she was my like guiding post because I thought she had a good pace. So I was following her and I don't know, she probably looked mid-20s, whatever. And then at some point she disappeared. I don't know her name. I didn't get her bib number, but she was always there and then disappeared. So, and there wasn't like a bathroom there and like she just disappeared. So I'm fairly certain she stepped away from it. And, if you needed to, good for her. But you got to finish.
And just think about it. You did not. You showed up for yourself. You know where you messed up. You have admitted to where you need to work on. You're coming back to work on it. And you completed it. I mean, that's huge to complete a half marathon for one, because not a lot of people want to. I mean, I have no desire to, but I'm not a runner, either. I was always short distance. And now with MS, I can't run. I mean, you should see me. I look like a great drunk person, even though I haven't had a drink, tripping over my leg, but it's not something in my playbook that I want to get that mark on. So kudos to you.
Well,
I mean, that's huge.
But honestly, that's part of my motivation though, too. And I mean this from the standpoint that that's, like I said it earlier, but like knowing that there's people that just can't, I need to respect that from the standpoint that I still can. So I need to make up for that. Embrace that, because I may not be able to forever. You never know what's going to happen.
That's true.
So I need to enjoy that process, because again, like I remember going to this concert or a conference in 2018, and there was a guy that he got in a car accident at like 19 or something like that and lost waist down, like literally had to be amputated from the waist down. He's a drummer. I was like, what? He could drum, everything. And I was like, holy like, this is amazing. I have nothing to complain about. I need to stop doing this. And so it helps me with those images in my head, thinking about, you not being able to run, like those things are in the back of my head always, in the subconscious saying, dude, like, be grateful, enjoy this process, because it may not always be there.
Enjoy the journey. And even when you're in it and dealing with something like wind or losing the girl who was keeping the pace because maybe she bowed off. So you got to enjoy that journey, even seeing the mile marker, to look at it as I made it to this mile, instead of, oh my gosh, I've got 5 miles left. Think about where you are at, not how much more you have left. Think about what you put in to get where you're going, instead of what you still have coming up.
I completely agree. And thank you. It's very weird getting interviewed. I know you went through this on the MS stuff, but thank you. This was a lot of fun.
No, but I was very fortunate and very happy and blessed that we got to show up and we got to watch you. Of course, I've been listening to you go through this journey, but to show up and see you actually running it and watching you cross the finish line was pretty spectacular, because you put in the work. You showed up for yourself. And I mean, that shows a lot. And you didn't bow out. You completed it. You believed in yourself, even though you had those self-doubts in your head. You still crossed that finish line. So kudos to you for doing it. And I got to know, do you remember your time that we estimated that you were going to complete it in on the last episode? I can't believe I passed over this.
At 2:10, right? Isn't that what we said?
I think so. What did you complete it in?
2:25:47. 2 hours,
so you were
5
close.
minutes, 47 seconds. Yes.
Yep. So you were what? 15 minutes off?
Yep.
Is that right? So you know where you can grow. You know where you need to work on it.
Absolutely. And
you'll get there.
This was awesome. So thank you, Kim. This was a lot of fun. And I got to say, you are a fantastic interviewer.
Oh, well, thank you. Because I can talk, right?
Yeah, but they're great questions, everything. So I had a great time. I love being in the hot seat today. So this was a kind of changing roles. It was fun. I loved it. And to everyone out there, I want to say thank you. I urge you all this year, not only to focus on your health, but to think about pushing yourself in a different direction. It's never a great feeling to show up at these races and you see there were some people that were like shirtless and they're like going for times of a 7-minute or like a 6-minute mile. And you're going, holy crap, they're going to finish this in like less than 2 hours. Like, I mean, just insane stuff, but show up for you, have fun with it, enjoy it, and crush it.
Yes. Well, and it shows that if you are comfortable, you've got to pivot. You got to get out of that comfort zone and you got to push yourself. Because if you get too comfortable, you're not pushing yourself. You're not trying to be the best that you're going to be. So really push yourself, find your motivation, find the positivity in it. Look, strive for better because you can do it. And I mean, Justin, you've shown it. And I can't wait to hear about your next marathon. I know it's a full marathon and I don't know if we'll be there for it, but we'll see. We'll talk more about it. I can't wait to hear about it. Thank you for opening up to us about this because sometimes that can be hard, especially talking about your failures or stuff that you need to work on and stuff that you need to strive for better and talking about what you did wrong. That can be hard for people to even open up about. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And to everyone else out there and Kim, have a great day and thank you.
Yes, have a great day, y'all.
And that concludes today's episode of the Fitness
Manifesto. I know you guys enjoyed it.
And Kim, I want to say thank you to you and to our audience for making this podcast what it is.
Yes, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
And stay tuned for the next episode.